My name is Paige LeBlanc, and I'm here with my mom and my aunt, and we are interviewing Adele Ben'Ary on her experience with organ and tissue donation. So, Adele, can you tell me your connection with organ and tissue donation?
Yes. Hi, Paige. Nice to see you all.
Hi.
My husband was a kidney recipient. He had polycystic kidney disease. He was diagnosed when he was about 30 years old, 31, around there. And as you may or may not know from doing all of these interviews, with polycystic kidney disease, it starts out very slowly. The progression is slow for many years, and then when it becomes critical, it goes downhill very quickly. So by the time he was ready for a transplant, he was already like 64 years old. So he had a life. He was on dialysis for about 5 years before he got the call that they had a kidney for him. So he was on peritoneal dialysis, which was dialysis that you do at home. So you fill with this fluid and you empty the poisonous fluid out. And you do get heavier. So he had to buy bigger suits and bigger clothing because he was just distended from this fluid being inside. In the meantime, to make my life even more interesting, my mother had Alzheimer's disease, and I was traveling back and forth every weekend to Pennsylvania to be with her. And my dad had already passed by then, and so I was in Pennsylvania most of the time on the weekends. So Monday morning, I was getting ready to come back home to New Jersey, and I get a call from my husband. And I'm thinking, why is he calling me at 8 o'clock in the morning? So he said, I just wanted to let you know that I don't have to wear the gray suit anymore. I said, well, why are you calling me to tell me that you're not going to wear this suit? He said, because I got a kidney. They called me. I mean, you couldn't just tell me, you know. Right. And I said, oh, okay then. So on the way home, I stopped at the outlets because they're there, and my car just automatically goes into the outlet. And there was like a Movado watch place in the outlet, so I stopped and I got him a Movado watch to celebrate that he got a kidney, which is in a a rectangular black box, narrow. So when I got home, I put the box on the pillow on the bed, and he came home, and this night we're going to bed, and he looks and he said, why are you leaving the remote on my pillow? I mean, it was just such a series of goofs, and I said, well, look closely at the remote. So anyway, my son now has that watch, by the way. So anyway, he received the kidney, and he actually had that kidney for 13 years.
Wow.
Which was great, and he got to see his grandchildren. Well, 2 of the 3 were born. The little guy was only 8 months old when he died, but he got to meet him at least.
Yeah.
And he got to do a lot of things in those 13 years that he would not have had the chance to do without a second chance of having, the kidney. He also had heart disease, and then he had, sometimes with a transplant, you get medically induced diabetes, so he was dealing with that as well.
Yeah.
And he had a leg amputation not long before he died from the diabetes part of it. So he went through a lot, but always was positively focused and amazing. And you just never thought anything that hit him was going to kill him because he kept springing back. And so the day that he woke up and said he couldn't breathe, and I said, well, sounds like a trip to the hospital, which was the norm for us. It was like a trip to the hospital was like a trip to Costco. We have to go. And so I didn't think anything of it, but that was his last trip to the hospital. He died after a few hours in the hospital he was in congestive heart failure, and then of course with that the kidney fails, and so his heart just couldn't fight off. He had pneumonia. It's like pneumonia, it's just so awful, and he just couldn't fight it off, so he died 5.5 years ago.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you. So that's my story.
So before all this happened, how much did you know about organ and tissue donation?
Well, I knew a little bit about it because I have had friends and acquaintances who have, actually one of my friends, her son was hit by a train and was brought to the hospital. He was 10, I think, at the time, brought to the hospital brain dead, and they were faced with, do we donate his organs? And in fact, her husband said, no, I don't want anybody cutting up my baby, and no, 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 no. And she said, you know, he has a chance to save some lives. So she gave the okay. And what was interesting with this friend was that when my husband got his kidney, later she told me, she said, you know, my husband finally realized what we did by donating Andrew's organs meant.
Yeah, that he made the connection. Like,
he finally could see that, you know, my husband was Steve. So, like, Steve needed the organ to survive.
Right.
Yeah.
And we did that for somebody, you know, by donating Andrew's organs. So that was one. And then another friend of ours needed a liver transplant because his liver was destroyed actually from medication that he had taken for his arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, or whatever it was. I don't want to mention the name of the medication here, but it is one that you see on television, and it destroyed his liver. So he had asked my husband, because he's a volunteer here, and he does the teaching in the high schools, and my husband was a high school teacher and principal and stuff, so he had said, oh, you know, Steve, why don't you come with me to teach the kids, you know, about your story, tell your story. And so he was prepared to go, and then he ended up, the day he was supposed to go, he ended up in the hospital. This was another hospital, not another hospital visit that he had to go to, and he never did get to do it. But anyway, I knew about organ donation through him as well, that he got his liver, and, you know.
Yeah. So. How has your life changed since he received the transplant?
Well, you know, after he died and I was alone, and I'm, you know, I'm not a woman who sits home a lot, so I still had a life.
Yeah.
And I was still actively doing things, and I said, you know, I need to find a volunteer thing to do, because I was retired, of course, by that time, because I am an old person. So I was driving by. We lived in Berkeley Heights before we moved to Watchung, and Berkeley Heights, as you may or may not know, is the next town over. Yeah. So I was driving from somewhere in Berkeley Heights, and I drove past and saw Sharing Network right here in New Providence. And I'm like, ding, that's where I volunteer. So how my life has changed is that I became a volunteer with the Sharing Network. And I do, you know, things, I do things for them, and have met a lot of really wonderful people through this organization, and trying to get the word out to anybody and everybody that I can, the importance of becoming an organ donor, and what a desperate need there is for organs, and, you know, don't take your organs to heaven, because heaven knows we need them here.
Yeah.
It's a great bumper sticker.
And I had that bumper sticker for a long time, and I don't see them around anymore.
Oh my gosh, I have a stack. I wish I had known.
Yeah, because I had it on my old car, and of course, you know, now that I have the new car, I have the Donate Life license plate, but I don't have that, because that's my favorite. Don't take your organs to heaven. That's like my favorite one. So I'll find another one.
So through that whole process of him getting the transplant and everything, what were you most grateful for?
The time that he had, primarily, that he really was able to, like I said, you know, attend our son's wedding and meet his grandchildren. He was really so good with kids. He loved kids. And now my little guy, my little grandson, who was 8 months old when he died, is asking all kinds of questions about Grandpa Steve.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, Grandma, what day, he said to me, this was not too long ago, what day did Grandpa Steve die? I said, it was a Tuesday. He said, no, 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 Grandma, what numbers? I said, oh, it was February 28th, 2012. He goes, that's what I thought. I was just a baby. And I said, yes, you were. He said, I know he had a mustache. I said, yes. I said, you know what? I will send you pictures. I'll send you pictures of Grandpa Steve, and you know, we do talk about him, and so he knows about him, but he kind of feels a little left out because his sister, who was 2 when Steve died, still remembers him and still talks about him. And it's just,
Yeah.
interesting that he's now so curious
Yeah.
about
Mhm.
Grandpa Steve.
Yeah. Have you ever met or reached out to the donor family?
Yeah, my husband wrote, well, his donor was an 18-year-old girl who was killed in a car accident. So that had to be pretty devastating for that family. And he did write to them, and in fact the nurses at the clinic said that when they read Steve's letter they were all in tears. So it must have been, he was a really good writer,
Yeah.
so it must have been quite a letter. I never saw it, but they never wanted to learn who received her organs. We did meet another man who received the other kidney at the clinic. They were sitting together in the waiting room, and so they met, and he actually got the kidney pancreas because he had been a diabetic all his life, and he was telling Steve like it's the first time I had real ice cream ever, you know, and you know, just interesting things because of the diabetes, but never really met the donor family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you share your story with others?
Well, through volunteering, through the sharing network, going to the, you know, display. The last one I did was in the mall in Bridgewater, which was quite interesting, by the way, because nobody in the mall really wants to talk about organs.
Yeah.
They're like running off. They're like, did you ever consider? No. And they're like,
Which way to Macy's?
No, exactly. I'm on my way to spend money. Don't talk to me about this. And what I found was, like, a lot of times we've done some fairs, like in parks and things, where people are coming to the park to have cotton candy and hot dogs and all of that, and they don't know what is the sharing network. And when we start to explain it, they really want no part of it. And we found also, I'm talking about my sister-in-law, who was my husband's sister, had the same disease, and she's on her second kidney, by the way.
Really?
But we found that culturally, there are certain cultures that really are very afraid when you start talking about organ donation. There are so many misconceptions.
Yeah, that's what many people have said.
Yeah, the misconceptions, and they're still the same misconceptions from like years ago that you would think people by now.
About like religions and.
Well, a lot of religions don't, but I mean, they think that you get in a car accident and are still alive, and people are going to come and take your kidneys out while you're like lying there on the pavement, and it's like, no, that can't happen. You know, it's only through the hospital. But they don't know, so there are a lot of fears, and if they'll stick around long enough for you to explain to them that, you know, they don't need to be afraid of that, but so many times they, you know, do have a lot of misconceptions about it.
What would you say to someone who is undecided if they want to sign up as an organ donor or not?
Well, you mean like a family member of a
like
person who's dying?
It's like someone to register on their license to be an organ donor.
Well, I basically tell them my story and how, you know, Steve got to meet his grandchildren and got to go to his son's wedding, and through the generosity, the ultimate generosity of a young girl, he was able to do all of those things and have a second chance at life. And, you know, it's the ultimate gift.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much what I tell them.
What was your happiest memory from that whole process that came out of it?
Oh my gosh. I guess it was when our first grandchild was born, you know, to see him with her.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, just holding her. I have pictures of her with him, and all she wanted to do was grab his mustache. You know, he would hold her and she would go right for that mustache and grab it, and I'm like, she is the only one that can touch that mustache. You know, don't anybody else try that. But I think it was that, you know, seeing him with her and how much pleasure he got from. She's 8 years old now, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it, sharing your story. I really hope that your story will encourage more people to sign up as an organ donor.
I hope so. I hope so. That's the goal.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.